Everyone, we are here on yet another Rain live stream. We're getting better and better. The countdown, the countdown is still a massive overpromiser.
It was cool though. It was nice animation. I love it.
It's good. Yeah, I like the kind of it. Yeah, it feels like something exciting should happen when it gets to 0, and then it's always just like us.
Yeah.
Like, hey, everybody.
Oh, we live this time. Last time we had to do it twice.
Last time I started the countdown and then I didn't actually click go live. So we went through the whole countdown, had like a chat, and then we weren't even live. So we had to start over. Okay, but this is an exciting one because Bryan has been toiling for the past couple of weeks on a really exciting new feature that actually started at ECC in Brussels. Yeah, you won a hackathon. You won a hackathon with the original POC, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And now we have it. Sorry?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it was amazing that you did it so quick, and I mean, obviously, between that and what we have now is like it's a lot better now.
Understatement, yeah.
But we're gonna get into that. But first of all, we wanted to do some of the more boring product updates because we've decided to start all the live streams with updates. Structure. Dave, do you want to talk about what you've been doing this week?
Yeah, mine's less exciting. It's more like housekeeping. But basically, because as we discussed in the last stream, we now have the idea of tasks where you can run additional Rainlang as you're adding orders, as you're withdrawing, as you're doing whatever, so you can add like more automation and control and governance around all of that. There's now, well, the main thing that was missing from that was like context. Like when you go into the order book subparser and you write in things like what's the current, when you're normally doing it, you're writing like the vault ID or the input token or whatever, that information is coming from the context of the current trade that's being cleared. So we've basically got the same for the tasks as well. So a simple example is when you add an order, it's going to calculate the hash of that order, which goes into the order hash, and then that's going to become available to the task. So if you, for example, were writing some gets and sets that save some data during the initialization, and then that's supposed to be made available to the order when it actually runs, then probably they're going to be using the order hash in the keys of the get and the set. So now that's all going to line up. And there's other information in there, like like if you deposit, for example, it's got the amount that you deposited and the amount that was in the vault before you deposited and things like that. So you can do some logic to, for example, your strategy might need to recalibrate itself when you're doing deposits and withdrawals, because if it's trying to like track how much of a token it has over time, and then you just like put in an extra $1,000 into the vault, then it's going to need to know that that came from a deposit and not just part of the trading strategy itself. So yeah, that kind of logic should all be possible now because the information is actually there in the order book. It also means if you want to access that, you'll need to use a new order book contract because it's not in, this is on-chain stuff, so it can't be available just by running a new version of the app. You'll need to actually use a new version of the contracts as well.
Although the good news is the app does support it now. So the app now actually, like when you're in the app, we can actually show this in the strat that Bryan's about to demo. You have calculate IO, which is like the main body of the strat, handle IO, which is what happens after every trade, and now there's also post add order, which is another source where you can put the little tasks that will run when you add the order. And so yeah, you can see what we're using that for in the strat we're about to show you. But basically, yeah, no, I would say in this one it's a DCA, and previously like this, it's a streaming DCA, so it's always calculating like how much you should have DCA'd in to that point by looking at the time elapsed and then multiplying it by your rate, like per second or per day rate. And previously you've had to put in the start time manually, so you have to like go find a timestamp and drop that into the strat hard coded. But that's like, that's prone to mistakes. But now you can just set that in the post add order task. So when you add the order, you can write a little like one-liner that will actually check the block timestamp of the block that you deployed the order, and then it will set that into storage so your strat can use it. So it's like way more ergonomic for those kinds of things. Have you got anything else, Dave? I mean, that's pretty much what I worked on. I worked on mostly just getting that stuff into the app.
I guess the other thing is it's not ready yet, but we've been porting a lot of the old tests across from an old version of Rain for the flow contracts, which is not actually like the DEX, which is for trading. Flow is more for defining workflows for tokens to move around, more like business type things, like legal contracts or whatever, or escrow services or things like that. And that contract got a little bit behind where everything else is at because we didn't have the test coverage. So I didn't really want to change anything while we didn't have the tests across, because that would be risky. So once all the tests are across, it'll open up a lot there for us to bring that up to date with everything else, which would be pretty cool for doing like hybrid on-chain, off-chain legal contracts and stuff like that with Rain. So that's work in progress.
I'm pretty pumped to get flow going, and actions especially.
It's time. It's been too long.
I'm pretty pumped for actions in particular.
Yeah, lots of good stuff coming, but all work in progress. I think let's just get into the demo. Of the day.
Cool. We got a few people watching now. Hey, everyone.
Sweet. I can just.
We should add David to the stage as well. You weren't actually.
Hey guys.
He's all here.
We're just about to do the demo, Dave.
Oh, I know. I've been lurking for a little while.
Oh, you've been lurking. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he was one of the two people watching.
Cool. I think I'm going to mute because I feel like I'm always talking on these things. So I'm just going to sit back and watch as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I think just show it, Bryan, and then we can talk about what it is.
All right. It looks like that's showing correctly. You guys see that?
I can add your screen. There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. So here's the. I'm assuming we wanted to demo the web app version. That's a little bit prettier since it's not covered by all the frame debugger stuff. But
yeah, I think it would be cool to show the. I think it would be cool. We can show the frame afterwards, maybe.
Okay, sure. So yeah, here's the web app version of our Rain frame project. So a web app version because not all networks are supported on Warpcast, right? So they only support a couple of the top ones. So we had to create like a web app version that allows you to connect to the unsupported networks. But it's pretty straightforward. It operates basically exactly the same way as a frame, just with a little bit less UI restrictions. So you have a prompt, a couple buttons underneath, similar to like a type form, and you walk through basically setting the bindings that are defined via the .rain file. So in this case, we have a DCA into, gosh, how you pronounce it, wealth. I guess it's wealth. And yeah, so for this example, I'm just using small amounts, but you have your review of the total amount there. Then that'll, of course, it looks like it doesn't share my wallet popping up, but my wallet's popping up, and I'm approving the transaction there. And my transfer amount exceeded the allowance. Of course it did. Because I was testing this once before the demo. But if I run that through again, it should be fine. So it'll pop up, yep, asking me to confirm the transaction again. There we go. And it works. So yeah, it's fairly simple from a UI perspective. And I guess we can also show, if it makes it easy here for me to switch my screen over to a different tab. think, Josh, you might have to main stage that one again.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, it's basically exactly the same thing. This is just a debugger to show what it would look like in the frame format on Farcaster. Same thing.
Should we explain what a frame actually is for, like, because some people may not even know what a frame is or why it's
sure. Yeah, would you want me to explain, or do you have a good way to explain it on the top of your tongue? Yeah, so frame is basically running. I like to think of it like running a little mini app inside of a cast, inside of a tweet, basically. So you have Farcaster and Warpcast, which is the main client, which is very similar to like a Twitter. And with frames, they allow you to run a little app inside your tweet so that you can do cool little stuff like this directly within your feed. And in this particular case, this project allows you to deploy raid lane strategies directly from a tweet. And so it really brings the bar down and makes it a lot more accessible for distribution in terms of your average person seeing a cool strategy and just being able to sort of click through and set their parameters for, in this case, how much they want to spend per day or what so have you. And it's all extensible and fairly simple in terms of just having a quick little schema definition of how you want this UI to work and what fields are relevant to your strategy. And then it just all automatically generates the UI for you, and you can just post the link and share your strategy. So, I mean, this is basically exactly the same thing. Same button options. They're just styled differently because of the restrictions of the frame, but just go ahead and do the same thing. And then there's your approval and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so this is like you've got this is like the debugger view, but if you in reality, like in the real world, you would have the app, like literally the iPhone app, and you're like you're scrolling along, and then you see like some project has shared this strategy. Let's say whoever, maybe it's a wealth, someone who's like part of the wealth community, or maybe it's the guys from wealth themselves. They share this strategy in like a social media context, and then you can just get on board with just by clicking in. You don't even have to leave the app. So you're just like on your phone in the social media feed, you can like deposit and do the whole strategy. And then it will like when you click approve token spend, it will open up your wallet app. You'll confirm the transaction in your wallet, and then you go back. And then the idea is like once you go back, we want to have another share link so you can then share with people like the progress of your strategy. So then you can say like, hey, I just did this. Someone can see in your feed, and it will show like, I mean, I don't know if that works already, but maybe for mine it works. For my transaction,
I think so, but you try it.
Yeah, try it, because I'll show you my transaction. This was my transaction. I'll send to you on thing. Yeah, I'll just put it in Telegram. So you should be able to go / and then the transaction, right?
Not yet. Be on the.
It worked for me on the web app. Maybe you try the web app version.
I was just gonna say. And that's not quite ready yet. Not sure what exactly is going wrong, but something's funky there. But it will work. It will work at some point.
Well, yeah, the idea is like, then people can see like, so they'll be able to see like Josh deployed this DCA strategy for wealth, and he deposited $50, and he's had 5 trades so far, and these are the trades, and this is how much wealth he now owns. And then you'd be able to see that dynamically in my feed. And then if you wanted to get on board, you can click like copy this, and then it will start you back in the flow for the strategy from the start. So it's like we're hoping it's like it can make like Raindex strategies like viral almost, because there's this like multiplication as people are getting on board and then resharing it for themselves. And especially if like projects they may have particular strategies they want to incentivize, so they could actually promote and say, hey guys, get on board with the strategy. These are the incentives. And then people can say, I just done this. They share it. Someone else gets it. So it's like, it's pretty damn cool. And importantly, the project or anyone who's making one of these doesn't need to know Solidity. They just need to learn Rainlang, and they can write one. So should we show the strategy that's under the
Sure.
hood here,
Yeah.
and then show how we've defined the GUI. Because I think you look at that and you're like, cool, yeah, it's like you ask 3 questions. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
But,
So this is from the perspective of, say I'm some project and I've tokenized something, whatever it is, and now I'm trying to make it easy for people to buy the thing that I just tokenized on like a savings plan type thing. Like what does that look like when I'm setting this up? Is that what you're about to show?
yeah, exactly. So we're going to show what it looks like to write the file that does this.
Yeah, so it's a configuration based thing. Basically, it's not I have to go and hire a dev Solidity coder based thing.
Exactly.
But it's not totally like it's not like a clicking wizard thing. It's like a configuration file basically. So
Yes.
it's like you edit it in a text editor with a configuration file. So you put in your token address, the token you just made, and like a few things.
Yeah, we're about to show this file.
Oh, okay, cool. So you've got that ready to.
I just loaded it up. It's in a.
There's the configuration.
So it's just a it's just a .rain file, right? All it is the addition
like
of
networks and things. Yeah.
Right here.
If someone doesn't know what if someone doesn't know what a .rain file is, just because like I feel like there may be people who are watching this now or watching this back and they're like, what the hell are you guys talking about? So we've got a language called Rainlang, which is a smart contract language, and we've got a protocol called Raindex, which is a smart contract on-chain order book where you write orders in Rainlang. So this is the app we made for Raindex. It's a self-hosted open source app. And this is also sort of like the default IDE for writing Rainlang strategies. And the whole goal with this is that you get a file, which is a .rain file, literally. So this could be like dca.rain. And it includes the Rainlang portion, so like the actual smart contract. And it also includes this YAML section at the top, which is for configuration of the order. So it's setting like the inputs and output tokens for the order, the different addresses, like the version of the order book you want to use, the version of the interpreter, which is where like what actually interprets Rainlang to make it work on chain, stuff like RPCs and everything. So you have like all the configuration you would need to deploy an order gets bundled up into one file that can be shared. And so far we've been using that to share with various people we're working with, or like people write them and share them with other people, which is really cool to have a file format. But in this case, you're distributing it not as a file, but as a GUI, as a frame. And this part that Bryan's showing here from line 300 is the definition of that GUI. So like maybe you could talk through how that translates to what we saw.
Sure. It is really pretty straightforward. I loaded it up here in Raindex just because you get some syntax highlighting that makes it a little bit clearer. But maybe now that we've done that, I can go ahead and pull it up in the code editor just so that I can sort of live edit it and show the effects that it's having, because I think that'll make it fairly clear. You can just main screen as well. Okay, yeah, so Josh, if you could just make the screen share thing I'm doing again, make it so people can see it again. And I guess I'll kind of have to swap between different windows here, so I'm not sure exactly how that'll work, but just as a simple example, this is a DCA into Wealth, but let's say you wanted to, I don't know, let's say you're writing a strategy to DCA into Weave, and you can just change the name right there, just like that. All you have to do is save it. And then I have to change windows again.
We're gonna have to do this dance, this back and forth.
Yeah.
Is there any way?
But there you go. You can
do it at the same time. Is that possible, or not really?
know of. But in any case, I mean that demonstrates it fairly clearly. I mean, now you can see it says DCA into Wealth instead of DCA into Wealth. It really is that simple. It's just you can define what the each slide says, and then these are just based on the exact same way the descriptions of the different bindings that are listed in in the YAML
Yeah.
as well.
Do you want to go back to the definition? Because I feel like even the word bindings is probably something that people who are watching this
Fair enough.
do not familiar.
Let's just keep it really simple. Because the whole idea, like just zooming out a little bit, like the whole idea here is that there's sort of layers of complexity here. There's like the raw validity stuff, which is the layer that I have to deal with. And then there's this Rain language where people who are familiar with the Rain language can write trading strategies. And then there's this configuration layer where as someone who wants to share something on social media, or if they're a project that's just tokenized something or whatever, they can use a strategy that's already been written and just change this configuration that you've got on the screen here. Maybe there's like they have to read some documentation to know what to change, but they're going to change this configuration, and then that is going to change these little mini front ends into the trading strategy that are purpose built for just running that one strategy. So we should, this live stream, we should probably try to speak to that level of just like what's going on like with the configuration, and sort of treat the lower layers as like, don't worry about that, because we have plenty of other live streams on the lower level stuff. Yeah,
people can write new strategies. I mean, people could also take, like you said, they can take strategies other people have written, and then you can make your own GUI. But like basically, if you look here, you've got deployment. So deployments is like the top level. So the first thing it'll ask you is which deployment, and this is so you can do variations, because a deployment actually has the input and output tokens defined. So you could have two deployments, and in this case, one deployment could be buying wealth, and one could be selling it. Just really simple. So you have two deployments with the inputs and outputs flipped, and then you've got your fields. So in this case, this is a DCA, so it's the simplest version of a DCA. So literally, it's just how much do you want to spend per day, and so we've got this field here, one of them, and the first thing we're doing is saying, well, which binding is this field going to adjust? And a binding, it's just like a variable for the strat. So when you write a strat, and again, you can watch on other streams this, you can define bindings or variables, things that can change between different deployments of that strat. And so in this case, we're saying that we want to map this field in the GUI to that binding, and it's just the amount. And we made it so you can do presets, which is quite cool. So you can like actually define, like in this case, there's like 3 options. And then we also made it so if you set a minimum, then you'll also get like a custom option, like a button. We'll just auto-generate a button that says custom. If you click the button, you'll get a field. So you get like an actual input field in the frame and on the web app where someone can write in any number they want. If you don't write min, then you just get the preset options. So this one only has one field because it's just a really simple strategy. And then the other thing you can do is define the deposit amounts. So we can make this like more complex, but the way Raindex works is you deposit tokens into a vault that connects to the order. So we're actually wrapping up the deployment of the order and the depositing into one transaction, which is why you only need to do 2 transactions. One is the token approval, and the next transaction you submit is both the deployment of the order with whatever choices you made, and the amount that you chose to deposit for the token that you're going to spend. So for this simple example, you're DCAing into wealth with USDC, so you deposit USDC.
Next hard fork, it might even just be 1 transaction, which would be pretty cool.
Oh, you mean if they fix that? I know they really need to. Even when they make like multi-call native.
Yeah, I think that's in the next hard fork. I think that's actually coming pretty soon.
So it needs to happen. It's like crazy.
I think it is happening. I think they're working on it like right now.
Are they going to be bundled atomically?
As I understand, it's like your wallet turns into a smart contract just for 1 transaction. So you can do anything you want, actually, because you can like put code into your
So it becomes like
keys.
a safe, like in like a safe wallet, how you can like tee up multiple transactions to go through at the same time.
Yeah, and it's just for that 1 transaction, and then it goes, and then the next transaction can have different code. I think that's how it works. Like, it's
Devs
pretty
are doing
simple idea.
The devs are
Yeah, they are. It's a cool idea.
It'd be so much better, yeah. Because then, yeah, you could do everything.
Bundle it all up, yeah, and
Yeah.
just have one transaction to do all of this.
Yeah. So like, now maybe we can talk about like, this is cool. This is one that people are thinking, well, what else would you do? Because I can think of loads of things, but people don't have imagination. So just to be clear, what we're going to try next is where
People don't have imaginations when they are learning something for the first time.
I think blank canvases are difficult though. So like, I can just talk about what we're thinking about. So like, we're like, cool, yeah. It's pretty easy to see why a project would want to encourage or like create virality around people DCing into their token, because they're basically depositing committed funds and they're committing to buy a certain amount every day. So that's cool, and you can see why someone would want to incentivize that. That's like building on-chain liquidity for the token, but it's not like building the kind of liquidity where people have to LP. It's like intents-based liquidity. So suddenly all these people deposit all these strategies and they've all got their own liquidity sitting in their own vaults, but it's still on-chain committed via the strategy, which is a pretty awesome proposition for a project. But, you know, from a user perspective, they might be like, well, I don't want necessarily to buy, I want to buy within certain bounds. So, and a project may also want to say, you know, we're going to give more incentives to the people who are willing to buy the dip. So if you're willing to buy when it's below this price, then if that's your intent, then we're going to give extra incentives to that, because that makes sense. You're basically like helping provide liquidity when the price is low, buy side liquidity, which is cool. So we can add a simple like one-liner in the strat that's going to ensure that the price is below that amount. And then we're going to put a binding and then make a field in the GUI, which allows you to set the level. So you could say like, you've now got two things: the amount you're going to spend per day, and then also the level below which you'll buy. So you could say like, this project could say like, there's these 3 price levels, and they could incentivize those 3 price levels differently. How they deliver incentives is like out of the scope of this call, out of the scope of this live stream. But just imagine that they have some way they're like, you know, they do like a snapshot and they see who deployed what strategies and with which variables, and then they deliver like an airdrop of incentives.
Maybe next week we can have a live stream on how you can deliver incentives.
That's cool.
This week.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I mean, well, if we get the governance wrapper stuff done, then
that's not happening this week.
We can do that on check. Yeah.
2 weeks. Everything in crypto takes 2 weeks. So,
well, actually, to be fair, you joke. This did take 2 weeks. We started this 2 weeks. So, for once, it actually did take 2 weeks.
It's unheard of.
It wasn't like it wasn't a rolling 2 weeks. It was a real 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're defying the sticker pack, Josh.
Yeah.
How can I make fun of you with the sticker pack if you actually take 2 weeks to do something?
All right, we've got a question. Is it possible to? First of all, someone said, "Great job, Bryan." So we should.
Oh.
Yeah, so we should.
Sweet. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the question was, is it possible to split this file into multiple files so I can have configs in one file, strat in another, and so on? I mean, I'm trying to think of what the use case is for that. Like, why would you want to do that? Maybe you could explain what the reasoning is behind that question. And then
I mean, surely it would be possible technically. Like,
of course possible.
Obviously, it's possible.
It's possible. Because we weren't planning on doing that because I don't know the reason why you would want to do that. But if you tell us,
yes, maybe once your strategies and configurations get complex enough.
That was the reason. Long files.
Yeah.
Just really long files.
Yeah.
Yeah, the files do get pretty long. We've got ideas for like doing imports, actually, both on the strat level and on the YAML level. So like we actually have both of those things spec'd out. It's just a matter of building them. But yeah, being able to compose between different files is definitely on the roadmap.
This is like, so in both the Rain language and also the config, I'm definitely aware that as things get more complicated, we're going to need more reuse and composability. So I would say at some point it's going to get painful enough that it'll get built. Basically, like when the motivation is there, it'll have. So there's no fundamental reason why it couldn't happen, because the whole thing's been designed from the ground up. So there's no fundamental reason why it couldn't happen on any layer. But we haven't actually built the tooling for it yet. So
the cool thing
it's
about
like something waiting in the backlog to be built, really.
Yeah, well, the cool thing is that we also want on-chain composability. So someone could deploy the DCA strat once, and it can live on-chain, immutable forever, and then you can deploy like variations of that strat without actually repassing and re-uploading the same bytecode over and over. So you get like the strats themselves get like on-chain Lindy. So you wouldn't even have to have it in the file at all. You would just reference something that's already on chain.
It feels like it's gone a little bit technical for like this one, but there's definitely a plan for a registry where you can. So just like you've got npm for JavaScript packages, there'll be like an on-chain version of that for Rainlink stuff. So you can register anything that you've previously written under your keys, and then they're immutable, so you can't mess with them, which makes it safe for other people to use them. So they could be like, I want to use this person's snippet from their account, and then it'll like pull it in. So you can come up with a really cool trading strategy, and then everyone can just use it. They don't even need to they don't have to do what they currently do, where they jump into GitHub or like go in Telegram or like, where can I get like the latest trading strategy or something, because it'll all just be in the registry. And you'll just be able to like browse it and see what people have written in like a social way. That's the dream. Just gotta set it up.
We want like Hugging Face for smart contracts.
Yeah. And it won't just be for the DEX. It'll be for everything Rain language related. Also, another strategy that would, because you were talking about like helping people with their imagination, this dollar cost averaging strategy, it creates a cost average as it's buying, right? So it knows its average cost basis, or it could be tracking that, and then it could sell if the price pumps some percentage above your cost average. So say you're buying it at like whatever the token is, it's worth like $100 today, and then it's worth $90 tomorrow, and then $80, and it's like doing the thing where it's like gradually going down. And then it does like a big pump, and it goes up to like, maybe it goes up to 90, which is actually below your initial buy at 100, but you've had subsequent buys at 90, 80, 70, 60. Your average price is below 90. So it can pump up to 90, and you can safely exit for a profit, which would be better than if you had just gone all in at 100 at the start, right? Like that's kind of the actual power of a dollar cost averaging strategy, because it is a trade-off, because you are spreading out your buys over a long period of time. There's an opportunity cost to that if it does just go up. So the benefit to spreading it out, you can more easily get the benefit to that if you've actually programmed something ahead of time, because that pump might happen when you're asleep, right? Or not paying attention or whatever. So,
well, I wish I'd had an ETH dip buyer set up the other night, because we woke up and like by the time
I think everybody woke up and saw those charts. Yeah.
By the time I actually got my shit together to buy that dip, it had already recovered a little bit.
Yeah. So realistically, I think it's not a one-liner, but it's not much work to take the strategy from where it is right now into something that tracks the purchases that it makes and then does an automated sale when it is in profit relative to all the so it could do like many small buys and then one big sale.
Yeah.
Just like,
so we need the feel that you would see in the GUI would be like the amount you want to spend per day, and then like your threshold, I guess, like what is like what's the profit like that you're aiming for? Like if you see a price, but you'd also maybe want to say like, I don't want to do it if like it happens and only bought in, like, there's no point doing it if you buy something and it goes up. I mean, I guess it's profitable, right? There's no reason you would ever not want to take a profit. And it can still keep.
I mean, I did this with Avalanche and it was awful. Like I took like 10%
but it could keep DCAing as well,
and did like a 10x or something silly. But
but you would want to say like
profit.
But you would want to say like, yeah, but you could still keep DCAing after you'd sold. So that can actually be one of the things. So you could basically set your threshold. So like, if I ever see a price that's 10% above my current average, I want to sell. So yeah, that's my threshold. And you could have like 1%, 5%, 10%, 20% as like the options or whatever. And then you could also say like, if that happens, do I want to keep the strategy running or do I want to pause? Like, am I done?
Yeah, this is the conversation we need to be like this conversation, like many versions of this conversation we need to be having between people who are writing strategies, which is something that you and I can do like relatively easily, and then people who are taking strategies and then like configuring them and then taking them to social media, which is something that I don't do and I'm not going to do. So we need to like use this frame thing that we're looking at now to start like bringing these two groups of people together, because it's not going to happen if there's just lots of strategies like getting written but nobody knows about it. And also if people are going to social media and they're doing things on social media but they don't actually have any tools that people can use to do trading other than go to centralized exchanges, then they're never going to be able to like push that part of crypto forward either. So this is bringing everything together, right?
That's why we created. I mean, that's why this has been created, because the barrier to entry is currently for Raindex is just too high. So it's too high for like your average person who just wants to DCA into a token. And so by going to them, we can get more feedback. And like we might find out that people don't want DCA strategies at all. They want like something totally different. But at least now we have like a playground where that can play out.
Look, it's a conversation now. Like you can actually give someone like a really simple form and then they could talk about it. And they could say things like you just said, like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. I want to like reinvest my earnings, right? Like somebody could say that in the Telegram group and then we could be like, oh, okay, well, we can just do that. And then like put a new front end up like a week later and there you go. Now you've got like the version of the dollar cost averaging strat with the profit taking, with the reinvestment. Like it can become like an iterative conversation, which is the more people that are actually doing that, like those conversations will just happen. I think that's the whole point, right? To get those conversations moving.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what's going to be really cool is when we have. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna skip ahead to stuff that is like doesn't exist. But like when we when we have the wrappers and you can actually incentivize the creation of the strategies. So like you'll be able to share in the profits. So now you're incentivized to have that conversation with people. So I'm gonna like try to really connect with people and find what kind of strategies they want, and then write them and make them available to people so they can get on board, and then I can like share in the profit if they're profitable. Like when we have that, then I think it's like then all the incentives are lined up. Like there's actually an incentive to create, and there's an incentive to consume.
Yeah,
well, the incentive to consume shit is already there because we're making it easier to do stuff that currently you have to do on a centralized exchange. There's not you can do it with obviously there's other intense stuff, projects out there, but none of them allow anyone to create anything. So once we incentivize the creative side, because everything's totally open, then like we should just see I would imagine we would just see an explosion.
There's definitely enough money floating around in crypto. We just need to like find a way to join it all together so that everybody does something that they're comfortable with, and that all adds up to some kind of cohesive whole at the end of it.
But you can imagine, like, especially because of the social element, you can imagine like really clever strategy writers like leveraging their followings to create like decentralized on-chain trading strategies, and it becomes.
I can definitely imagine that.
Like it becomes like a social thing, and then people build like you know they can actually build up like their own Lindy as a human, as like a strat writer. So it's like, you know, someone's fresh, you're like, okay, you could be trying to like, you might be trying to be funny and like trying to scam me. But someone who like builds up trust over time, and like other people are auditing the strategies they're writing, other people who like know what's going on, and then they build up like a lot of clout and trust. And people like, they're like, I've got this idea, guys. This is the strategy I came up with. If you want to pile in, and like we'll share the upside.
Yeah, the registry will actually help with that, because if there's like a good strategy that people are using, you would actually have like the hash of that strategy. Just like right now, every smart contract on Ethereum, you can go to Etherscan and you can just put in the address of the contract and see it. You might not be able to read Solidity, so you might not have any idea what it does, but at least you know that if you've got the same address as everybody else, you're using the same code. You can't like rug at the social level. So that's what the registry will help with. You can't like post some strategy and then like when people start using it, like try to trick them into using some other strategy at the last minute or something. If there's an actual registry with hashes in it, it'll be like there under your name with a specific snapshot of the code, and whatever it is whatever it is. You can't change it.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. And then imagine when it's like, and now like even further, imagine when it's not just like trading strategies, but it's like people who are launching tokens, and it's like vesting schedules and everything else.
I do really want to see the legal contract thing happen. I feel like having a registry of prepackaged Rain language that plugs into things that people need to do anyway in business.
Yeah.
I
agree. Yeah. Or it's like assets.
I can mute you, David. You've got like...
You muted me?
You've got some background noise, man.
Oh, I've got kids like playing some kind of Mario Brothers or some kind of game. The boys have got friends over. It's wild.
It sounds like it. It's pretty awesome. But like what I love about what Bryan's done is it like you said, David, just bridges the gap, and it actually starts opening up that conversation. That conversation seems real now, even though we've got so much other stuff to build. Like we're actually, like we've got a path start to end from like creation to consumption, and now we just like fill in all the blanks, make it better and better. Isaac's in trouble. In 20 years, you can show him this recording and say, "This is."
I didn't know. This is for his 21st. Like, remember what it was like in 2024. Isaac, stop. Sol, stop. Boys.
You can just hear it escalating in the background.
I know. Could you not just sit there quietly and write Rainleg?
They're gonna be pro Rainleg writers.
Oh no, we had a workshop here yesterday, drumming workshop, and Sol was chatting to Isaac and I were doing something, we were playing football or something, and we saw Sol was chatting to this lady for like an hour, and she came up to me afterwards, and she's like, "Well, what do you do? I've been hearing all about this thing called Rain."
What was his explanation?
Oh, you don't want to know.
Okay. Was it accurate?
No, it's because I promised them when we hit a certain level of revenue, we're going to take a business class flight.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So that was his explanation.
That's explanation, right? I was going to say, like, it's not explained like I'm 5, it's explained like you're 5.
Exactly. He's like, this is why I love Rain. But I think like the cool thing with all of this strats is like, and everything we're doing is that it's just directly transferable into, as Dave was sort of saying, the legal side of things. Like it's directly transferable. I'm pretty pumped to just see Jade out there in the next week or so, hopefully, because then you will have people buying and selling or buying at least, like, well, depositing collateral, receiving Jade, and then we'll have just a dynamic peg management strategy on the Jade going.
That's gonna be fun.
It's like,
yeah,
it's super fun, and it's a great way to provide liquidity. And it's just like super simple, really clean. Everyone can inspect the Rain lane. You can see how the legal wrap is going to go in there, and it's just like that's another really good building block. All the equity stuff as well, it's going back and forth. It's going to be pretty cool. Seeing people trading equities and interacting with the liquidity bridge. So I think it's going to be super cool. So I like what we were texting the other day. It's like we're building tools for dads.
yeah, definitely building tools for dads.
It's just not
if you need to worry about all of the family finances and whatnot, right?
Yeah. It'll be pretty sweet. You can imagine in like 5 years' time, you're like, kids, I've just paid off the mortgage. I'll be like, what did you do? And it's like, well, I changed like these 19 different actions. I was listening to this Dave Meister guy, and he was telling me that there are these zero risk, high reward strategies.
That sounds like something I would say totally.
He spent like 10 years inventing, built these new math models and everything to make it possible. And he's like, I just YouTubed a little bit and used those.
Yeah, very nice. Is there something we could do, like with some real tokens or something on a live stream? Like, doesn't have to be next week, but like soon.
Should be next week or the week after for Jade. We could do.
That'd be cool if we had some real tokens that someone was actually going through the process of tokenizing, and there was something we could do live. I mean, nothing that's going to be like risky, because let's not take any risks on the crazy live stream. But if there's something we can do with like real tokens and like launch it and then record it and put it up, that'd be pretty fun. Because everything up to this point on the live streams, at least, has been demos, sort of like messing around with like $1 or $2 like here and there, just to like demonstrate things. We haven't really done a lot of serious stuff on the live stream, like serious, but you know what I mean, not with like real tokens with like real world assets and stuff. Yeah, so maybe we should try to do something.
Yeah. Why not? And with wealth as well. Oh yeah, I know. Thanks, Josh. Chaos. Yeah, with wealth as well. Why not? Because we should be offering up these liquidity strategies to the community. So we keep polishing this up, and then we could do a live stream with those guys as well.
Maybe that should be next week's live stream. It's actually showing how what we've built translates into production. We've done a demo. We've done a demo. We had a couple of like little glitches, but if we should be able to iron those out pretty easily, and then actually do some live stuff by the next stream.
Okay,
finish the frame, get the analytics side of it working, and then let's like put some real tokens in it. That'd be fun.
It does actually. The analytics does work. It's a shame it wasn't showing, because I've seen it work. It's not far off.
Okay, yeah. It's probably just a broken link or something.
But also we had that conversation, Dave, about like how you actually calculate what it even means to say like the performance of a strategy, and it's not that simple, because it's
Had a philosophical discussion. What even is profit, right?
Well, and it gets really, when you're dealing with stuff on chain, and it's like you're starting from this unopinionated place, that actually becomes a real like question, like a very practical one. It's just we're so used to dealing in a world where people already come with a strong opinion about what it means to be profitable, and they've already decided for us, basically, in most cases. So like when you use your like Coinbase app, it's already decided that you care about USD. Like you can't switch Coinbase to say like, I just want to see all my profit denominated in Bitcoin because I actually believe that's the currency of the future. You just can't even do it. They're just like, no, all you care about is USD.
I think you could in some of the older or like hardcore crypto platforms. It was like, of course you're here for Satoshis. Why else would you be there? I think
There's a
I mean,
couple.
like,
There's a
I don't
couple.
even know if Tether was around back then. There was a time when stables didn't even exist, so you didn't have much choice. It was Bitcoin and Bitcoin.
I've been looking at portfolio trackers lately, trying to find a halfway decent one, and there's a couple where you can click and it'll show you all your balances denominated in ETH. And I was like,
Oh, that's cool.
Okay,
That is
that's
actually cool.
nice. That's a nice little hidden feature.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good research actually, because once you figure out what the best one is, we need to do that for Raindex. Like, actually, one of the things I've been thinking about is like when you write a strategy, you could define the dashboard for that strategy. So like, you could actually say what matters about the strategy, and then the dashboard for that strat could be dynamic itself. So rather than like a one size fits all analytics, you've got per strategy analytics. So you can say like, what the strategy is, how to configure it in a GUI, and also what it means to report on that strategy. And so like, I wanted to put that in Raindex anyway, so that could also be part of this frame. To be honest, the GUI spec, the GUI's probably the GUI spec should work in Raindex as well. If it's like the IDE, it's the IDE for writing strats, it would be cool if there was like a panel you could like pop out and it would show you the GUI that you're writing, that you're creating.
That's very cool.
Yeah, as you're working on the strat. So it's like a full development environment for writing strats, authoring GUIs, everything.
Yeah, I mean, if we can do that, that'd be awesome. I mean, it's aligned with all the back testing and the simulation, all that work that we've already done.
Exactly.
It seems pretty aligned with that. Just like the next logical step is like, okay, well now it's live and you want to track it.
I mean, now you mentioned backtesting. It would be pretty cool if the charts that we have in Raindex showed on the web app and the frame as well. So you could be like, when you configure the strategy, it could simulate it for you and show you, like, it actually run a live backtest for you before you deploy. That'd be pretty crazy.
We just need 2 weeks, right? I'm sure we can get it all done.
Yeah, 2 weeks for everything.
2 weeks, yeah.
All right, that was a good live stream. I feel like that was our best one.
Oh yeah, you guys did tranche stuff with Toby last week, right?
Yeah, we did that last week, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, no, I mean, we should also have, like, because we'll have, like, Sid's working on the initial action, whatever, today. So we also want to revisit tranches to show, I think, like, live, because that's a perfect one with Jade, because then we can show Jade, but then we'll have the tranche for the peg management.
Yeah,
I think it would be nice.
Yeah.
I think it'd
We've
be nice
been
to
talking
do.
about tasks, we haven't showed it.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to do the do another market making stream, but we'll actually, rather than us talking about it. Yeah, sorry. Rather than us talking about it in theory, like actually get a project on who is using Raindex for market making, and so we can kind of put it into context and like what they're actually getting out of it. Because otherwise, I think we have talked about transfer, but I think it got pretty abstract, and it would be nice to put it into a practical context. But anyway, cool. I think that's a good stream. Thanks, Bryan, for joining.
Yeah, happy to. Thank you, guys.
And awesome work. So keep your eyes peeled for this to go into prod, and you can try it out for yourself.
And let me know when it breaks. I'll fix it.
Awesome. All right. See you, everyone.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Bye.